I'm here in Trempealeau, down at the southern end of Trempealeau County, and I'm here with Steve Kiedrowski. And where are we? What is this room we're in?
This is the Trempealeau Museum, and I'm president of the Trempealeau Community Heritage Society, and we are curators of the Trempealeau Museum where we're standing.
So this is the Trempealeau Museum.
This is the museum right here, but it wasn't always here. And so our organization, the Trempealeau Community Heritage Society, started in 1998, and we would just meet in people's homes, collecting artifacts and documents about the history of the village of Trempealeau. And then in 2005, this was the Trempealeau Library during all that time when we started in the 90s. But in 2005, this was the Trempealeau Library, but they built a brand new one on the other end of town. So when they built the new library, they moved it into the library, and we moved in here. And we became a permanent brick and mortar museum here in the Village Hall in this room right here since 2005. And
what building is it in? We better tell people
Well, it's the Trempealeau Municipal Building where they have their offices and the police department and in the community room where they have their meetings and that.
So it's a brick building and it's on 3rd Street?
Yes.
And it's right next to the vets, so people my age remember the vets. Okay. Now, right behind me what is this?
This was from the old Trempealeau High School. They were the Trempealeau Bears.
Yes,
Blue and gold,
them.
And that's where I went to Trempealeau High School. I graduated 1970, the second to the last true class from the old Trempealeau High School before it was closed down and became Gay Electric Trempealeau.
Because I went to high school, I graduated in '67, and I mean, we played them in sports against Trempealeau Bears, and there's a lot of people nowadays that forget that there was a high school, the whole school system here in Trempealeau. And then somewhere along the way, when I was in college, they consolidated, didn't they?
And in 2009, they actually tore down the old high school. They kept the gymnasium, and then they built a brand new school. So it's the Trempealeau Elementary School now, in Trempealeau now.
And is that in the same spot that it was?
Same spot,
Okay. So as we kind of look around the room here, before we get going, we got to talk about something that happened, 2 years ago?
Well, no, it was 2020.
Oh, 2020.
Is when it happened. There's a bank across the street. This is 3rd Street out here, the window. There's a bank right across the street, and there was a person that was backing out of the parking lot and went to hit the brakes and accidentally hit the gas pedal and went shooting across the road right into this wall right here. And so the car was sticking through the wall, and we had a lot of damage. It looked like a bomb went off here, so we lost some of our artifacts and stuff that were here. This sign here went flying across the room, and so we were closed for that following year because of all the insurance and the construction and everything and that. And I like to say that right here we had the first drive-in museum in the state of Wisconsin.
And nobody got hurt?
Nobody got hurt. That's the main thing.
And where is this beautiful stained glass from?
That's from the old Congregational Church over on 4th Street in Trempealeau, which is now a private home.
Oh, really?
And and so they donated that to us, and it was the Masonic Lodge after it was the church. And that was at that building on 4th Street for several years, and now, like I say, it's a private home. But it's such a beautiful piece of architecture in that, so and put it by the window so the light kind of comes through on it.
The greens are beautiful. That is really nice. And that was a
Congregational Church on 4th Street.
Now over here we've got some military things. And right here is Eichmann.
Ralph Eichmann, World War II. We have a lot of military artifacts. We definitely want to showcase the military and honor them. And we've got even the women military here on display and that.
This is special because This is Faye Dunn up here,
Yes.
who was my cousin.
Oh, okay.
Knew
All
her
right.
real well. Like my mother, she was a nurse in World War II.
Okay.
A good nurse and a really lovely lady. So it's really nice to see that picture
Yeah.
up
And she
there.
married a Bronco.
Her daughter.
Yeah, the daughter did. Yeah, yeah.
But this was Faye. She was a hunter from home, and then she had married a Dunn.
Yeah, here's her uniform right here.
Yep.
Yep, yep.
That is nice. And then what about this one?
Yeah, and I don't know if there's a tag on that one. That one
don't
somebody
see
just
it.
donated and dropped. Sometimes people drop stuff off at the door, and then when we go the next day or something, we go to open up the museum. There's artifacts sitting there waiting for us to go through. But we've got military shoes and
Pictures, so that's
yeah,
really
a lot of military stuff and that. So
And this is what, a medal?
yeah, that's a military medal and that. And then we got railroad stuff too. A railroad was very important to the village of Trempealeau. Yeah, so
Look at this picture, the old puffer belly. Huh?
yeah, yeah.
Isn't that nice?
And of course, the old Chicago Northwestern line is now a bike trail. And
Yes.
that, yep, yep.
Now, where was the depot in?
The depot, there was a depot down by the river, and then there was a depot over on near 6th Street. And Mike Root bought that one, and that building still exists. He just moved it into his salvage yard.
Okay,
and that,
that's what I thought.
Yeah. And here's an old Letterman jacket. That's actually my old jacket from 1967. I still have the receipt on it. 1967, I paid $19.65 for it.
Way to go.
Trempealeau Bears.
You bet. I remember them really well.
Yeah, yeah.
And then now here's something that I find that children these days are fascinated by, are the old telephones.
Mm-hmm, yeah. We get the Trempealeau Elementary kids take a field trip every year in the fall. So we get about 60 kids coming through here in 3 different groups. And several of the kids would come over here and they'd say, "What is that?"
Yeah, they have no idea. And this one is really elaborate, isn't it?
This one actually came from Chicago. And so that one's kind of unique. A lot of the homes had this style here.
Right, that's what we had.
Yeah, and this one's pretty fancy.
Yeah,
here and that.
it is.
Yeah, yeah.
I've
And
never seen one
here's
like
what
that.
the operator looked like. We'd always show that to the kids.
Sure.
So they have some kind of an idea, the operator that was in between to make all the calls go through.
Yeah, that was, and do you know where they did that?
No, this is just sort of off the internet, that photo. We wanted to get a picture of an operator, and so they can kind of see.
Did Trempealeau have its own operator?
Yes,
like that?
down on Main Street.
Oh, on Main Street.
Yeah,
okay.
And it was upstairs of the Trempealeau Hotel.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where the operator was. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And these are beautiful. What is this? A little cream and sugar?
Yeah, little teacup things and that.
Yeah.
This painting up here, we just got that last year. That's got a little history behind it. The artist is Mark Tobey, and he grew up in Centerville.
Oh.
And he was sort of one of the first abstract painters back in the day. And in his style of artwork, he was very renowned and famous. And this is just a print now, but the print was hanging at the Trempealeau Library for years. And about 10 years ago, I went to the library, and it was disappeared. It was gone one day. I said, "What happened?" And they said, "Well, the frame was damaged, so they put it in storage." And it was in storage for 10 years, and nobody saw it. So I said to the library, "Would you like to donate it to the museum?" Mm-hmm. So they said, "Well, let us have a meeting on it." So the next day they called me and they said, "You can have it." So we put it up, Mark Tobey, and this is Mark Tobey. And he was born and raised in Centerville, and then he moved to Trempealeau, and then he graduated from the University of Art in Chicago, and then moved to the state of Washington, and then Switzerland, and that's where he passed away in Switzerland. But in the field of abstract art, he was very renowned and very well known. And that particular artwork is called Earth Circus. So it's a little bit different, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now this painting or print, when I was a kid, everybody had this. It was really common. The picture of the little girl looking at the bluebird or whatever.
Yeah.
Very
just sort of generic
common.
paintings we got.
I just remember being in just about everybody's house.
Yeah.
And then this is some lady's outfit here.
Yeah. Mrs. Landers donated that, and we get a lot of clothing and stuff. What we have to do sometimes, we get so much stuff that we have to kind of rotate it. We've got a storage room, and then we have an office, and then so sometimes we rotate the stuff to make it fresh. And then we're closed in the winter, so in the wintertime we remodel and kind of make it new again, and that so.
Yeah, that's really a good idea.
And this corner, this is kind of the school corner here.
Okay.
You can see all the old Trempealeau, the baseball team, and the banners and the sweaters.
This must have been the twirlers, right?
The twirlers and the band. You can see the big hat, you know, the band members and stuff. Yeah, so a lot of that is from the old school.
Trempealeau FFA,
FFA, yep. Roger Emmons from Caledonia donated that.
Look at that.
Yep.
Beautiful. Really nice.
Same colors as the school, too, blue and gold.
Right.
Yeah, so that works out kind of nice.
This must be somebody's tassel from graduation.
Graduation, yep.
And there's a letter sweater.
Yeah. This bookcase is unique. In the old school, on the first floor where the grade school was, there were 6 of these that were built. And when they built the school in 1932, they just built a big rectangle hole in the wall. And they built the bookcase separate. So when it was done, they took the bookcases and they slid them right into the hole of each room, the 6 different rooms. So when they tore it down in 2009, everybody wanted to get one of these and that. So there were 6 of them, and we got one of them for the museum, and then other people, they paid to get them and that, because it's kind of a lot of history from the old Trempealeau school. And then we got all the yearbooks going back to 1949, Trempealeau High School.
And then up on top, there's more band hats.
Yeah, more band hats. Yeah, they take up a lot of room, so we got to find places for them.
And what is this thing?
This is actually a time capsule from my class, the class of 1970. We meet every month, and we get together, very social, like to get together and have a good time. And we decided we were going to have a time capsule, and we're going to have a ceremony this summer and put the stuff in the time capsule and then keep it here, you know, and maybe in, 100 years or something, our next generations, 3 generations away, can open it up and see all the artifacts that we put in there from 1970.
Was this buried or something?
No, that was one of our classmates' son made that, and that was all handmade about a year ago, and that it says 1970.
1970 on it.
Yeah,
that is really nifty.
So we're going to put a bunch of stuff in there and then keep it for posterity, I guess.
Oh, that's good. There's Trempealeau High School.
There's the 2 schools right there. See?
Yes.
The first one was built in 1875 to 1932, and then replaced by this one. That's the one that I went to.
That's the one I remember.
Yeah. And then that was torn down, and they built a gymnasium over here and added on over here, and then that was torn down in 2009. Now this was built in 1875, but actually, according to documents, there was a school before this. There was a log cabin school down at the base of Main Street along the Mississippi River, and that was built about 1850. So, but there's no photos or drawings or anything of that log cabin school.
This is an old town, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's an old river town.
That's right. There were people here for quite a while. And where was the bell from?
That bell is from the Towner Country School. So we have information on, there was a lot of country schools back in the day. That's from the Towner family.
Okay. Well, that's pretty nifty. And then I'm looking at this picture here. And that is from White School. That's out in Fox Cooley.
1941 to 42.
Yep. There was a one-room school out there.
Yeah. And somebody brought that in, and that's and that's how we collect a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, that's nice that people think of you and bring it in so you can preserve it. Now, what do you have in this case?
Okay, this case, probably most unique thing is we have a tribute to a doctor that was in Trempealeau in the 40s and 50s called Dr. Lester West.
Oh, okay.
And that's him. And he was quite a character. I did a story on him, and I actually recreated him for a ceremony and that. And this is his picture right here. That's Doc West right there.
Okay.
And that's all his instruments and his eyeglasses and his pen and everything. And the building he was in down on 2nd Street near the Trempealeau Hotel is still there. They remodeled it into the Doc West Suites.
Okay.
So there's 2 suites there. And then they took the story I did on Doc West and they put it on the wall in there and sort of a tribute to old Doc West.
Now, at one point, Trempealeau had burned, hadn't it, back in the 1880s?
Yeah, in April 14th in 1878 was the big fire, and burned. There was a lot of buildings along the riverfront at one time. A lot of them were just storage units and that, but there was businesses that burned, and they think it started with spontaneous combustion in one of the buildings. So there was a lot of businesses that were lost, but then there was a lot of warehouses that were burned too.
Yeah.
And that,
a lot of them are probably grain warehouses.
Grain and corn and wheat, because a lot of river traffic back then, and the railroad was just going in down there at that time. Railroad went in 1888, a year later, and that. So that was a big fire. Nobody got hurt in that, but
thank goodness on that.
Yeah.
And this is stuff from out in Centerville, right?
Yeah, this is some Centerville. This is actually my family bar, which is now the Four Corners in Centerville, was built 100 years ago by my grandparents, Frank Sr. and Josie Kiedrowski. And so the bar just turned 100 years old.
Wow.
And we had the bar. When I was young, I'd clean it every morning. So the TV stations, all 3 TV stations in the area did a story on the history of our family bar and being 100 years old.
And was it called the Sandbar?
The Sandbar, most people know it as the Sandbar. That's probably the most popular name. And before that it was Art's Bar, and my dad was Art. Okay. And then it was Elmer's Tavern, and Elmer was their brother, and before that it was just the Centerville Tavern. Yeah.
Well, I remember my mother saying they had good burgers there.
Yeah, they're still famous for the burgers. Yeah.
Some of those things keep their reputation over the years.
Yeah, it keeps going.
Now, whose uniform was this? This was Emil
Wagner. Yeah,
okay.
World War II. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's in really nice shape.
Yeah. At one time, all the uniforms were over there, the mannequins and stuff, but we decided to kind of sprinkle it around a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. And these are different
medals,
medals
and dog tags and that.
And is that from one person?
Oh, different people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And some nifty old photos, especially these 3 ladies here with their very elaborate hats. Laura, Elizabeth, and Laura Brewin and Elizabeth McCartney. And they were the grandmother of Robert Beardsley. So
yeah, Bob Beardsley he had the beauty shop, Bob's Beauty Shop on Main Street.
Okay.
And Bob was one of the original members of our Heritage Society.
Okay.
Yeah. And in 2020, when we had the terrible cargo accident with the car going through the wall, that was a bad year because Virginia Siseski was our president, and she died that same year, 2020. And she was 91 years old.
Yeah.
And she was a matriarch of our organization. Yeah. And she was just amazing. And then, and I know we had talked before that, and she always wanted me to kind of come up and maybe take her place whenever she retired or left. So when she passed away, then I was voted as the president. And but Virginia Siseski was a fantastic person.
Yep, she had quite the reputation.
Yep.
Now, what is this wooden thing down
here? That's just, somebody just brought it in and looked kind of neat. It looked for storing, I think, like pickles and all different kinds of potatoes and stuff like that.
It was for storage.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's pretty interesting, done around there.
Yeah.
And there's one thing we kind of missed back here. I was probably standing in front of it, and that's the old baseball uniform, right?
Yeah. And Trempealeau won the state baseball championship in 1968.
I remember something about that.
Yeah,
that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the smallest school to ever win a state championship.
Really? Yeah. Yeah, they had some great players, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
I do remember that. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
And then over here, it looks like you've got a pretty old map of Wisconsin.
Yeah, and somebody donated that. We thought that would look kind of cool in here.
It is. What year is it? Do we know?
I don't know if it's on there or not, but it looks pretty antique.
Yeah, I bet it was back in like the 1870s or 60s. Yeah, lots of times they didn't put dates on things back then. It's really
And that's
irritating.
actually kind of notorious for as far as when people bring in old photos and there's no dates on them.
Yeah,
and that's really problematic when we're trying to zero in on how old something is.
Sure, it's tough.
And we've got a tribute to the Native American Indians.
Well, yeah.
And of course, they were here before we were.
Yes.
So we've got some stuff on them.
And just recently, well, fairly recently, they did some important archaeology here about the Cahokians.
Yeah,
right?
some of the digs down by the duck pond and the lakes.
And up here, too.
Yep,
right?
and up by the Mount Calvary Lutheran Church. Yep.
And that's, you can park and you can walk up there on the bluff where they had their platform.
Yeah, Little Bluff Inn.
Yeah. And that's really interesting because they stayed here for what, about 100 years, was it?
Yeah.
The Cahokians.
Yeah.
And that's over 700 miles away. That was down in Cahokia was down by St. Louis. So if you can imagine coming up here in canoes,
yeah.
that's quite a haul.
Well, Ernie Bossart from the University of La Crosse, he kind of spearheaded that. He came up here, and him and his wife spent a lot of time in Trempealeau.
Oh, yeah.
And then people who wanted to help, like myself and other people, you know, we were assisting them in some of the digging and stuff like that. So
that would be
anything to do with history, we like. Yeah.
That's really interesting. And that's really important. And I was down at that Cahokia Museum a couple years ago, and they had just kind of put up a display there noting that there had been Cahokians in Trempealeau. It was like it was, a new discovery, and they were just getting it into their museum.
Okay.
So that was really interesting.
This is Ray Lowe. I did a story on Ray. He was, at that time, they called it Winnebago, but he was Ho-Chunk.
Right.
And he was a chief and he lived between Centerville and Trempealeau, and his son was in my class, Jeff Lowe. But Ray was a great guy, and a lot of history there. He had a teepee out in his front yard. You could drive right by it every day between Centerville and Trempealeau, and so we thought we should have a picture. He's passed away. Here's a little story on Ray, but we had to have some kind of a testimonial for him.
Yeah. Now, who did the artwork here?
That's all Native American artwork.
That's gorgeous. Yeah. And then we have some more pictures over here.
Yeah, more pictures and that. A photograph. That old house is still standing.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. And then pictures and books we've got, and some of the baskets that the Native Americans handmade.
The Ho-Chunks were noted basket makers, weren't they?
Yeah, very talented people.
And down here is a fellow that really plays into the Trempealeau story, and that was Antoine Greeno.
Greeno, yep.
And he was mixed heritage, I believe.
Yes, he was, yeah. He was one of the founding fathers of Trempealeau. Yep.
I think one of his parents was Native American.
Yes.
He had real mixed heritage there.
Yeah. Well, back then it wasn't too uncommon.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
But he had a good memory for things.
Yes, and we do a lot of work with the cemetery groups too, because there's a lot of history there.
Right.
And especially there's an old cemetery that people don't even know about out on 11th Street in Trempealeau. That's the old Catholic cemetery.
We did a program on that last spring.
That's what I hear. I'd like to see that. I never saw it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting. It was all mowed and tidied and nice. And but it is out on 11th Street.
Yeah, but at one time it gone to seed. It was in very bad shape.
Yeah, they
But
said
John Ebersol and Dick Van Droschik and Dale Ebersol, they all kind of got things together and cleaned it all up. And I actually have a little brother out there that only lived like 2 days.
Oh.
Ronald Lee Kiedrowski, that's buried out there.
Yeah, it's now in beautiful shape.
Oh, it's fantastic now. I was just out there about 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to remind people that sometimes these old cemeteries, they would appreciate donations because upkeep is expensive, and there's no longer a cemetery association, and they're not selling plots, so you gotta keep it going somehow.
1965 was the last burial there in that old cemetery. This is kind of a chronological order of Trempealeau, and put up all the old photographs and stuff.
And there's the old brewery.
Yeah, that's a drawing.
Melchior.
Yep.
Yeah. And who do you know who did the different paintings?
There's some names on them up there, and kind of hard to read in that, but we've got a couple of members, Debbie Diamond and Charles Kingsbury, very instrumental in our organization. They do a lot of work, you know, here in the museum, you know, and get things looking nice.
Yeah, it does. It is a lot of work. People have no idea how much work that is. And where is this lantern from? It said it was for a fire truck?
Yep, an old fire. It looks like it's something from a train, but it's actually from a fire truck.
Yeah.
And here's an old football.
Heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy. It has to be. It's sturdy. That's why it lasted so long.
Yeah.
And here's a old football helmet from the Trempealeau Bears.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually my old helmet.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But the table it's on is kind of unique. It's from 1950, and it's got all the old ads from the businesses in the area. Trempealeau, Gelsville, Centerville, Ettrick is on there, and a lot of these businesses are long gone, but there's still a few that are still around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting that they were able to do that.
Yeah, we got that from the VFW right next door. They donated that. They used to play cards on them. They had a whole bunch of these tables, and they wanted to get rid of them, so they gave one to us.
Huh. I've never seen one like that before, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
all the old businesses.
Yeah, and if you grew up in the area, you'd recognize a lot of these names and stuff and that. Yep.
I remember this one, Boob's Beer over in Winona.
Yeah,
right under Sugarloaf.
Oh, that was popular.
We did a program on Winona last year when we talked about some of the old breweries there. And that was an old timer.
We sold a lot of Boob's Beer at our tavern in Centerville. Well, back in the day, the legal age in Wisconsin was 18, but Winona was 21.
Yeah.
So we would get a lot of people coming from Winona to come over and have beer.
That's what I was trying to explain to someone. It used to be that they had bars that were just beer bars.
Yep.
And if you were 18, you could go in there. And then when you were 21, you could go into the ones that served alcohol. It was kind of a different setup.
Yep.
Yeah.
The licenses were cheaper for beer bars. You didn't have to,
sure.
Than as opposed for selling liquor too. And cigarettes, had to have a license for that too. But I used to clean our bar. Me and Ronnie Sasha, the entertainer, him and I used to clean the bar every morning, and then he'd be singing away while he's cleaning, and we'd play in the jukebox and that. Yep, did all that before he went to school.
Now here's one of those displays that I don't think are probably legal to do anymore, but it was songbirds that had been worked by a taxidermist, and they're all, presented there. It is interesting. There's the blue jay and what's it, a tanager? Yeah.
Some people, when their parents pass away and the kids don't want certain things and that or what, and they say, well, would you guys like to have it?
Yeah.
So we end up having a lot of things in the museum, and it gets, and we have a computer in the back room of our office, and we try to keep a log of everything on the computer and what we have and when we got it.
Oh, that's a good method. And here you're kind of displaying Perot Park.
Yeah, Perot Park, a very, very popular park, and people come to Trempealeau to go to Perot Park. Ed Sullivan's Restaurant, which is on the way to the park.
And there, of course, is Trempealeau Mountain.
Trempealeau Mountain, yep.
Unique.
Yeah, we used to swim out there. Now the vegetation is all kind of filled in, but we used to swim when it was wide open there. And we used to swim out there all the time when we were kids.
Yeah, it's a small park, but it's beautiful. And they have their own little museum out there, which is very nice. And then here's more pictures of old Trempealeau.
Yeah, the Trempealeau Hotel, which is pretty historic. Yeah.
That's right here, isn't it? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that certainly has gotten popular because they have musical events and
Oh, yeah, outside
going on there.
Yeah, outside concerts. Here's some pictures of the building of the dam from 1933 to 1936. Lock and Dam number 6.
That was a big deal, wasn't it?
Oh,
when
yeah.
they built that.
Yep.
Oh, my
Trempealeau was a
gosh.
booming town. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people came there for the jobs.
Sure.
You know, and people were out of work. You just got through the depression.
Yeah.
So and they paid good there working on the dam. So
Yeah, and this is really a nice panorama here, isn't
yeah.
it?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Now behind us is something we need to look at
Mhm.
because
Yes.
this is what we would call, a little model?
Yeah. This was something really amazing. Mary and Larry Coop and their family made this. It took them about a
Wow.
year. 6-foot-long table. It's a replica of basically downtown Trempealeau and the area of Trempealeau and all the houses and the businesses. And they've got them all numbered.
Yeah.
And then they have a book that has a description of each number and each house and business and when it started.
Wow.
And it all corresponds with the numbers on those buildings. There's 8 pages there, and their grandson designed the cover and that of the book. And this is all brand new. We just got this about a week ago.
Wow.
And so this really looks fantastic in our
Yeah.
museum. And what they did was to build the houses and the businesses, they used a 3D printer to make all those. So there's a lot of work involved in it. So
Yeah.
this is Trempealeau around in the 1800s, right in here through here. Yeah,
Okay.
and all the different businesses. A lot of research that they did besides even just building it, but they did an amazing job.
Well, I think this is really unique.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever seen another thing like this.
Yeah.
This is really,
Yeah.
really special. And yeah,
I-
I'm sure they did a lot of research to get this put together.
Oh yeah, Mary and Larry Coop. They told me about a year ago that they were going to start building it, and sure enough, they finally finished it. It was worth the wait.
Yeah, what a neat project.
Yeah.
And these are some really old photos over here. Look at this
We
one.
got.
Boy, that's gotta
now
be a
that's
real old
that's
one.
before the fire.
Sure.
You know, a lot of these buildings were wiped out from the fire and that, and there's even a little sailboat there.
Yeah.
But the fire took a lot of that away, and traveled up Main Street, and like the Trempealeau Hotel was actually right up against the water.
Oh, it was.
But they picked it up with horses and moved it back
Oh,
to
they
where it is
did?
right now.
Oh, I didn't
That's why
know
there's
that.
a big courtyard in front there.
Yeah,
Because
I
it
didn't know
used
that.
to be right up by the water. That was before the railroad days.
Wow, that's an old timer.
And here's Dock West again, and the Milchower Brewery. Talk about breweries
Yes.
in Winona. The building is still partially there between the village of Trempealeau and Ed Sullivan's and Pearl Park.
Yeah.
Is the Milchower Brewery, and that's very historic right there.
Yeah, it is.
Yep,
It's
yep.
interesting. So I remember reading about the Melchior family. They were from Germany. Jacob and his wife, and then he had daughters, and the daughters were noted for being rather voluptuous back in those days. Most people were not overweight, but he had these wonderful plump daughters that were very popular.
Well, he used to stand out in front of his brewery and wave to all the ships that were going
yeah?
by, telling them to come on in and have a beer.
Oh, I'll bet.
And so they'd pull up to the shoreline, and he had steps built, and they could walk right up into the Milchower Brewery, and in a matter of minutes, they were sitting down to an ice-cold beer.
Yeah. Wow, that's real marketing, isn't it?
Yeah. And they built caves behind it, and that's how they kept the beer cold, of course. Yep.
And who is this?
Yeah, that right there, let's see, I think his name is on here. Let's see. Tom Grafton Owen.
Okay.
Yeah, a clergyman.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
One of the early clergymen from the Trempealeau area, and that.
Okay.
Another one of the founding fathers.
And this is a souvenir of the Citizens State Bank.
Yeah, which used to be on Main Street.
Okay.
And now they built on the other end of town a new building, and it was just a little decorative ad that they had. A lot of businesses had that. They would just have a picture of something with their
Yeah.
name on it, or a pen with their name on it, and that. and they would give those away
Yeah, and then-
as little gifts.
And they were hung in people's kitchens and
Yep.
in living rooms. So I can certainly remember that. And here's another, the Trempealeau Hotel. Was it being moved in this picture?
Yep, that's being moved right there,
Sure.
right from the riverfront to the
Yep.
present location. Yeah.
Isn't that something? I didn't know that. And then up here is this great, well, it's one of those big, what do they call them? They used to call them yard longs, you know.
Yeah,
when they
it looks like the
big
whole town
pictures.
got together
Yeah, it
for a
does.
photo and that.
Do they know what the occasion
No,
was?
there again, some of these photos we don't know what it's all about.
No.
And that, but it's just kind of a unique photo.
It was probably taken right around 1918 or so, because that's when these, they called them yard longs,
Okay.
were very popular, but unfortunately, they never usually got people's names on.
I don't know how you could.
I know it.
Yeah. It'd be too difficult.
Yeah, they were very popular.
Well, there was traveling photographers that went around back in the day, and they would come in and take pictures and then sell them to the community.
Sure.
And that's how they made a living.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people didn't have cameras.
No, that was pretty unusual. So you really got a wonderful display here, Steve.
Yeah.
So tell me, what are the hours for when you're open?
We are open from Memorial Day weekend to Labor Day weekend
Okay.
from 1 to 3.
Okay.
And we just volunteer our time, and it's free
Yeah.
to the public. We just take donations and stuff
Sure.
and that. And we've got about 25 members. Membership is only $10 and that, so we don't charge very much in that. We're just trying to, preserve the history,
Yeah.
and that, yeah.
And this is such an old river town. It's got a fascinating history.
Yep.
And we should mention one of the first white settlers here, that was James Reed.
Yes, James Reed, yeah. And his statue is, of course, down at the end of Main Street.
Yep.
And that, yeah.
So a lot of interesting things going on here. So before we end this, I want to look at this painting or picture down here. Be a good neighbor. Huh? What a nice idea.
Yeah,
What a
and like I said,
concept.
this used to be the library,
Yeah.
and that's where you put your books
Ah,
in
sure.
there. Where
Yeah.
you drop the books off, and then
Yeah.
there was a basket on the other side where they'd put their books.
And is this where the librarian or the checkout person
Yep,
sat?
right here. There's all
Sure.
the books were in here.
Yeah.
And until 2005, and then we were able to move in and start putting our artifacts in here and that. So
And it's one thing I really got to put in a plug for Wisconsin here, is when I go visit my husband's relatives down in Illinois. Illinois is a pretty rich state. A lot of towns there never had a library and still don't, but Wisconsin pretty much did.
yeah,
And that was something I think Wisconsin can be real proud of. You know?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, Steve, I really appreciate you taking the time here to share everything, and we really want to encourage people to come down and see your collections here.
This is
And
a
what is
unique
this from?
trophy. This has a little history to it. When the school was torn down in 2009, there was a lot of trophies that were in the school, and a lot of them were busted up in terrible
Oh,
shape.
yeah.
And so we had to actually throw some away. But this one was in real bad shape also. It was all busted, broken up and everything, but there was names on here. And I thought, because there's names on there, we should try to
Yeah.
salvage it. So I took it to a trophy shop in La Crosse, and they loved it, and they fixed it for free.
Wow.
And what it is the Harold Ford Memorial Trophy, and it's given to the best athlete of the year.
Oh.
And nobody knew who Harold Ford was. I did a lot of research. I
Yeah.
talked to different people, some of the old teachers, Claude McCormick, who's 93, an old teacher from Trempealeau. He never heard of the name, and he's an old coach and teacher. So I did research on him, and he's not originally from Trempealeau, but he moved to Trempealeau, and he likes sports. So he started a Athlete of the Year that was given out in 1961 for each graduating class, starting with Jim Canar in 61, and then Tony Raymond, and then Steve Cooper, and then Tony Kiedrowski, my brother, and then Gary Muner
Oh.
in 65, and then it ended. And then this Harold Ford had passed away, so they stopped giving out the names and the trophy and that. So it was at the school, but nobody knew anything about it.
Yeah. Was it like a traveling trophy?
You could call it a traveling trophy,
Yeah.
but it stayed at the school. It just
Okay.
had different names. They
Right.
kept adding. And even the names that are on there, never heard of it.
Yeah.
Gary Muner in '65, never heard of it. My brother
Really?
Tony never heard of it.
Oh, dear.
And they actually won the award
Yeah.
when they graduated. So that's kind of a unique piece of history.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
the Harold Ford Memorial Trophy for the best athlete of the year.
Oh, that's really nice, and it's cool that they were able to see the names on it after
Yeah,
all this
that's
time.
why we wanted to save it. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's special. And I suppose you'd like to encourage people that are interested in joining your society?
Yeah, very much so. Like I said, the dues are only $10 a
Yeah,
year.
boy, you can't beat that.
No, and we could always want new people, and businesses can join. Just $10 for the business,
Sure.
$10 for the individual person, and that. And we'd love to have more members, get more people involved in that. Yeah, yeah. We want to preserve the past, so we don't lose it for the future.
And Trempealeau is a fascinating history, an old river town, and it's just a lot of fun. So I want to thank Steve for taking the time to give us this tour.
My pleasure.
Okay, and I encourage people to come down and see it this summer.
Thank you.